The Eagle. By Alfred Lord Tennyson. He clasps the crag with crooked hands. Close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world, he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls. And like a thunderbolt he falls.
He clasps the crag with crooked hands. Close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world, he stands. What image does Tennyson create with the phrase "he clasps the crag with crooked hands"? The phrase creates a vivid image of the eagle gripping the rock tightly with its claws, emphasizing its strength and resilience. What does the phrase "close to the sun in lonely lands" suggest about the eagle's environment? It suggests that the eagle is perched in a high, isolated, and majestic place, close to the heavens. What does "ringed with the azure world" imply about the eagle's position? It implies that the eagle is surrounded by the blue sky, highlighting its dominance and connection to nature.
The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls. And like a thunderbolt he falls. What does the poet mean by the wrinkled sea beneath him crawls? The poet describes the appearance of the sea as wrinkled, perhaps due to ripples or waves, and its slow, crawling motion emphasizes the eagle's elevated and detached perspective. How does the phrase "and like a thunderbolt he falls" reflect the eagle's action? It conveys the sudden, swift, and powerful dive of the eagle, likening it to a bolt of lightning. What mood or tone is created by this imagery? The imagery creates a tone of awe and grandeur, showcasing the eagle's strength, precision, and dominance.
Ringed with the azure world, he stands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. How does Tennyson use contrast in these lines? The poet contrasts the vastness and stillness of the eagle's lofty position, azure world, with the crawling motion of the sea below, highlighting the eagle's superiority and command over its surroundings. What does the eagle's stillness, "he stands," suggest about its character? It suggests the eagle's patience, strength, and readiness, as it observes the world below with intense focus. How does the natural imagery contribute to the poem's theme? The natural imagery emphasizes the majesty and power of the eagle, symbolizing dominance and the sublime beauty of nature.
He clasps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world, he stands. Who is he in this stanza? How is he described? He refers to the eagle. He is described as holding onto a rugged rock, crag, with his claws, which are personified as crooked hands. The imagery portrays him as majestic and commanding in his isolated environment. What do the phrases "crooked hands" and "close to the sun" suggest about the eagle's position and nature? Crooked hands refers to the eagle's talons, emphasizing their strength and grip. Close to the sun suggests the eagle is at a high altitude, symbolizing power, dominance, and a connection to the sublime. Identify and explain the significance of the imagery in these lines. The imagery of the eagle gripping the crag and being surrounded by the azure world conveys its majestic solitude and the grandeur of its surroundings. It underscores the eagle's dominance over its domain and its association with natural beauty and strength. What mood does the description of lonely lands create? How does it relate to the eagle? The phrase "lonely lands" creates a mood of isolation and grandeur. It highlights the eagle's solitary existence, emphasizing its independence and self-reliance as a ruler of its domain.
Close to the sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world, he stands. What does "close to the sun" suggest about the eagle's environment? It suggests that the eagle is perched on a very high mountain, symbolizing elevation not just physically but metaphorically, representing strength and superiority. How does the phrase "ringed with the azure world" depict the eagle's surroundings? The phrase suggests the eagle is encircled by the vast blue sky, emphasizing its position as being at the center of its domain and isolated in grandeur. What is the effect of the alliteration in lonely lands and azure world? The alliteration creates a rhythmic quality that enhances the poem's musicality. It also emphasizes the vastness and beauty of the eagle's remote and serene surroundings. Why do you think the poet uses he stands instead of describing the eagle in flight? By describing the eagle as standing, the poet emphasizes its commanding and regal presence. It highlights the moment of stillness and power before the dramatic dive described later.
Who is the poet of the eagle? What themes does the poem explore? The poet is Alfred Lord Tennyson. The poem explores themes of majesty, nature's power, solitude, and the transient nature of existence. How does Tennyson create a sense of majesty and power in the eagle's portrayal? Through vivid imagery, personification, e.g., crooked hands, and metaphor, like a thunderbolt, Tennyson highlights the eagle's dominance, strength, and grandeur. Discuss the interplay of movement and stillness in the poem. How does this contrast add to the eagle's characterization? The poem contrasts the eagle's stillness as it grips the crag with the sudden, dramatic movement of its dive. This interplay enhances the sense of the eagle's latent power and control over its actions. How does the poem reflect Tennyson's romantic ideals or fascination with nature? The poem reflects romantic ideals by celebrating the beauty, majesty, and awe-inspiring qualities of nature. It portrays the eagle as a symbol of independence and grandeur, aligning with Romanticism's emphasis on individualism and the sublime.